All right, this is Atlas's 9th session that I filmed, and we're just going to work on desensitizing to the halter. So I'm just going up to him and just rubbing on his face, make sure he's cool with me touching him, and I'll give him a reward for that once my hand touches his face, and then I'll get my tools out and we'll start working with the halter. So again, I just want to make friends here, make sure he's cool with me touching his face, because those are all things that need to happen before I whip out my halter and start trying to touch him with it, is make sure he's cool with my hand. Because if he's not cool with my hand, then he's definitely not going to be cool with me adding the halter. So it would be a hand and a halter would be scary. So he touched it right there, so I'm going to click him when he touches it and give him a treat. And then again, I sped through the parts where he's eating because it's kind of boring and it'd be a very long video. I have also a driving whip just in case, just to move his hindquarters out of the way if I need to. So I'm going to present it again. He's touching it here. And then he kind of got a little scared. So I could have clicked there when he was touching it. But it's not a big deal. I think he went too close and then was like, oh, that's touched my nose, that's scary. So I just kind of reached out and touched his face and clicked him for him, like, yes, that's the right answer. It's not scary. The touching is what you're getting rewarded for. So all I'm doing is having him touch his face with it. He touched it and he got a little worried. Just gonna hold it up for him here, see if he'll turn his head toward it. He turned a little bit toward it, so I'm just gonna take it away, touch his face there with it, and click him and reward him. So looking back on the video, because I'm voicing over it later, I would have probably had him touch his nose to it a bit more before I went on and touching his face. And he's really sweet and pretty chill, versus out of the two Mustangs, see him touching him right there on the neck. He's like, this is a little bit much for me. So that was good. I'm gonna click that because I stroked him on the neck and he stood there for it. So two things is he's a little bit more gentler. So I think at this point I was kind of like, okay, like, let's touch the halter, you'll be fine. So looking back on it, I definitely would like him to touch it more with his nose on his own accord and kind of target it himself. So like I present the halter and he puts his nose on it, and then he puts his like the side of his face on it, and then like his jaw on it and his neck on it, and kind of does that on his own. And I do that a bit more with Castor, but Atlas was a little bit more just relaxed in general. If your horse is a lot more worried, I would go back and do that. So I'm just rubbing him here and he's being pretty good. But make sure that he can touch it if he's really worried about it, and don't force him. Not really force, but you're the one touching him with it. So it makes it easier to overcome their fear if they touch it. So also then I probably had some more footage out here before, because he's worried about it touching his nose. That's where he's like, I don't want it touching my nose. So that's why I should have gone back there. It touched his nose, and I'm gonna give him a treat, and had him really comfortable targeting it with his nose, and that would have just helped the process. But this is my first time, so I'm just learning, figuring things out. So this is just our journey, but, and then I'm just gonna straighten him up here, ask for his hindquarters over, very nice. I clicked him once his, inside hind leg closest to me crossed over the outside hind leg, which he learned previously, because I don't want him to get scared and get his hindquarters toward me, kick out, anything like that. So just make sure I have that control. But with him, I would just definitely make sure when you're working your horse, he can touch the target, or the halter is the target with his nose, and then if he's really worried, he can target with his face. So he brings his face to the halter. And you'll see me doing some of that later on with other horses. So really I'd like him to touch all over his face and kind of down his neck and under his neck, and then kind of bring the halter in like that. So like your hand touches his nose all over his head and his neck, and then same thing with the halter, and then I start opening it up like this, and rewarding when he brings his face toward it, which I think he would be a lot less standoffish if, again, I had him targeted a bit more. So just rub him, make sure everything's cool, present the halter to him, touches his nose. He's like, oh, I don't like this. But I'm not going to chase him with it. It's not a big deal. I don't need to chase him. Just take it away, ask again. There, he touches it with the nose, or it touches his nose, and I'll click him and feed him. Because a lot of people will think, oh, if I take it away when he's moving away, then he's going to think that moving away is the thing to do. And that can be true, especially with like pushy horses that kind of know like, oh, I don't want to do this. I know I can get my way out of it. But with fearful horses, like it's not a big deal. But you kind of have to figure out where that behavior is coming from. Is it coming from fear, or is it coming from like, I'd rather not, and I'm not afraid. I just want to push my way through things. Definitely with the Mustangs, all their behavior comes from fear. They are definitely scared and not just like, I just don't want to do this. So it just helps you create a bond because they realize that you're paying attention to them. Like they said, oh, I'm not very sure about this, by turning their head like that over the side. They're like, oh, I'm not really sure, but I don't chase him. I'm just kind of stay here, and then I'll take it away when his head comes back. Versus chasing him, you're not paying attention. He feels like you're not paying attention to him or you don't care either way because you're just chasing him with the halter, versus the horse knows that you're paying attention if he shows you like, oh, I'm a little worried, and you're like, okay, I'll take it away. So it just kind of depends on the horse. Horse training can be tricky like that. Lots of people want us to just be like, this is this one way to do it. Here are the steps. It works on everyone, and that's just not true. So I'm going to show you guys as many different ways to training as possible. So again, I just touched him with my hand, make sure he's cool, and then I'll kind of present the halter, rub it on him a little bit here, and click him because it touched his chin there, and he was really kind of worried about that part. So like you'll see with Castor is he was more worried about the neck part, like me reaching over his neck and then the halter kind of coming under his neck, and Atlas was more worried about the halter kind of coming up underneath, from underneath, and going over his nose. So every horse is different and has a little bit different set of worries. So always rub him first, rub the halter on him, make sure he's cool with it. He's not really cool with it. He kind of tipped his head away and like, that's fine. And then when he stopped moving his head away, I'll take the halter off or away. But if he just left, that's fine. I'll have him come back and then just try again. Not a big deal. Have him touch his nose, click him. Very good. So if the horse is leaving you constantly, you're either probably going too fast or your treats aren't a high enough value to the horse. So I think I'm using grain at this point, and it's just like a little basic grain, like nothing crazy. And I'm just giving him a little handful, but the Mustangs are like obsessed with food. So I was using hay for a while too, and that really did it for most things. So it touched his nose there. He got a little worried, backed up, and I was like, that's fine. I'll just wait for him to come back. I'll kind of move his bowl over because I'm just trying to center him in the camera here. So he had a little bit in the bowl he can eat up, but then I'll just try again. It's not a big deal. But if they do want to leave a lot, make sure you're breaking it down a lot smaller so they feel more successful and less pressured, and then something that they really, really love to eat. So grain is a good one. I'll just feed them part of their grain ration, or alfalfa is also good, or carrots or apples, something like that. Just whatever really motivates the horse if you want to use positive reinforcement. And then I also do a lot of approach to retreat too, because I'm stepping back and I'm like, I'm not going to trap you, because I definitely don't want him to feel trapped. There, he touched it with his nose, very nice. He didn't really flick his nose around that time, so I'm just going to end the session there, and we'll work on it again some more later.